Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tuesday night at week 4 here in Flux Motorsports Season 2 Championships. We are, of course, all set for the Touring Car Championship of Flux Motorsport at the very tricky, often hard to maintain clean Long Beach GP. And our drivers are just getting started now within their 20 minutes of qualifying, and of course they're going to be all set for the usual 45 minutes of action on track. 20 seconds remaining, so it is going to be final laps for those that are out on track at the moment. And we see just a nice little front wheel drift from All You 82 there. Comes around the roundabout perfectly, cuts the inside of the corner off perfectly, and around the next one, see him just avoiding that curb just to make sure that he doesn't go from 4 wheels to 2, and avoiding that wall as well. He is white on this lap. Does look as though J46 Dyson has actually gone green in Sector 1, so it's going to be hotly contested. We can see there's only 1,000th in it between All You 82 and J46 Dyson currently. So any marginal improvements might be enough to knock him away from that. As we see, All You 82 clatters the wall as J46 Dyson's just about to come across the line. And is it going to be enough? It is indeed. He does enough for second place. That is front row for J46 Dyson and a fantastic last couple of laps. Let's have a look over to Jack de Menzies. Doesn't look as though there's any improvements, and actually that final Sector 3 from J46 Dyson was the best that we've seen so far today with a 31.425, so great end to the lap there from the Scotsman. Finds himself just 2.3 tenths away from the console, and the console there with a bit of a lucky escape after deciding that he was going to sit this one out inside the pits. And that's enough for Jack de Menzies. He comes into the lap. Let's have a look over to TTV Giacomo. Looks as though he is still out on track, but it's not going to be enough. That is the finishing position for today's race. So the console in pole position with that bonus point once again. J46 Dyson joining alongside on the front row. All You 82 is done really well for third place on the second row with Jack de Menzies alongside. TTV Giacomo in fifth with Kovkarl making up the third row. T. Scott in 7th place with his good friend and colleague Stoltz in 8th. Object in Mirror finds himself in 9th place, which is good for his first outing, alongside Casey Redwood. And then Luke Snipes in 11th with Old Smoky in 12th. Survivor in 13th place with the newcomer TTV Alienzo in 14th. And then Quiet Man makes up the back of the grid for today's race. Going to be all eyes on turn 1, and here come the starting lights. Keep an eye out for any stalled starts. Final light, away we go, and it looks to be good. Clean off from everyone and quite a good start. No major movers and shakers. Everybody seems to be falling into the position, and we'll want to see the console perhaps moving over to the right-hand side, unless he's going to go up inside. We'll have to wait and see. Coming up, though, they're almost looking like they're going to go 4 wide. It ends up being 3, and minimal contact there just at the back, but somebody absolutely eats it. Who was that caught it? Was it Casey Redwood or Stoltz, perhaps? Stoltz has gone all the way down to the back. We did say Casey Redwood, but he is since moving up into position. Kovkarl has also changed, and Casey Redwood finds himself all the way at the back, potentially getting caught up with Quiet Man, who finds himself facing the wrong way there. So, as predicted, chaos at turn 1, or maybe through turn 2 as well, for quite a lot of the grid. Such a tricky circuit to get going, but the console leads the way ahead of J46 Dyson with All You 82 in 3rd. Jack de Menzies in 4th place, but that looked as though Alienzo found himself up into 5th, but made a big collision with the wall there, and he's going to struggle to not have any damage after that one. He's not too far away either from TTV Alienzo. In fact, it looks as though he's about to take away that place from TTV Alienzo, and Alienzo is offline on the run-up to the next turn. He's going to have to try and adjust his line just to make sure that he doesn't come into contact. And he does come into contact with him, and in the end, Old Smoky ends up colliding with Survivor, it seems. So Survivor, a completely innocent party from that one, and they have to 3-point turn it to get themselves around. That is going to slow them right down, and they're blocking up quite a lot of the track there. So Casey Redwood unable to get past as the two drivers block up most of the circuit. Wasn't the cleanest spin round, but of course these are front wheel drive cars, so it's not quite as easy to dump the clutch and spin those tyres up. As we just quickly fling over to Luke Snipes on track, who's being challenged by Kovkarl. In fact, we've got a whole posse of drivers here moving through backmark, as it seems. We'll jump in the cockpit of Kovkarl. That is for positions. That is Luke Snipes ahead, and Kovkarl just has a little look up the inside, thinks better of it, and falls back in line here. Very close racing from these guys. Yeah, as I said, the top three currently in the LMP2 Championship, as Kovkarl has a little look around the outside now. He's going to get that one done. He is going to have the inside line for the next corner. There it is, and job done there from Kovkarl. Smart driving from him. It's going to take a lot from Luke Snipes in order to take that position back. And he's got no chance coming into the final bend. TheConsole making up almost a second on the race leader. Plenty of time indeed, and with 17 minutes to go, anything can happen inside this one. Oh, as we see a car facing the wrong way, and that car is Jack de Menzies. Jack de Menzies getting it all wrong into turn one. Let's see where T-Scott is at the moment. Looks as though T-Scott is far enough back to not potentially play an effect. It just depends on whether or not Jack de Menzies has got any substantial damage, and he makes a big collision on the right hand side. That is going to hurt the usually super consistent driver. I think he's been completely clean throughout all of this, and with 17 minutes left to go, maybe a lapse in concentration or a bit of a peak in tyre temperature sees him absolutely eat it onto the first corner and potentially now have to pit. We'll have to wait and see how his car's holding up, but it is looking very, very wobbly indeed. You can see they're pitching left and right, buffeting all over the track. I think this is going to be a pit stop from Jack de Menzies. This could see him fall outside of the top three, and even more damage following as he struggles to keep it on the track. Looks as though we've got a bit of action going on in a 4-car train here, so we're looking and focusing on Luke Snipes, who's being challenged by All U82 in the Air Bubbles green and black liveried car. So it looks as though it's either Stoltz or T-Scott that's ahead of them. In fact, they're sandwiching them at the moment, so these guys will be under blue flags. They're going to have to move alongside, as we see All U82 making contact there with the rear end as they move. Well, they're going to have to move off the line. I think, there we go, we see them move across the line to allow Stoltz through, but looks as though All U82 has allowed it through. Looks as though Luke Snipes not yet relinquishing that place, and he's going to have to be careful because he is under blue flags here and he can't really affect the drive of Stoltz. Otherwise, he's going to find himself with a pretty substantial penalty. So we see there Stoltz with the bumper hanging off in the front. That is then Luke Snipes behind him, with Stoltz behind as well. So Luke Snipes with a 127.695 that time around, Stoltz with a 128.3. So that shows that deficit, and why, at least for the time being, Luke Snipes won't have to relinquish the place under blue flag conditions. Meanwhile, it does look as though we've got a bit of action going on between TTB Giacomo and Object. Once again, these two have been battling throughout the day, really. Let's have a look over to this one. So that is Object in the red and yellow livery, TTB Giacomo in the monster livery. And Giacomo just looking a little bit defensive. Does look as though he's a little bit offline there. And he manages to cut through, but he is going to lose a little bit of pace. And that is evident with the way that Object is now closing down and reaches over to the inside line. Looks as though he's going to take this position. And there he is in 6th position. He just needs to make sure that he keeps his nose clean as Giacomo runs very close to the outside wall, but in the end relinquishes the position, falls back into 7th place. But it's been quite a good recovery drive there. Does look as though Luke Snipes is maybe just losing out on a bit of pace here now, maybe caught up a little bit too much damage. We did see him make a very heavy collision with the wall with around about 10 minutes to go, so it's going to be pretty tricky for him as we see Stoltz there making a mistake. That might allow All U82 to come on through. Doesn't look as though it is. Maybe All U82 just holding back a little bit, and that's going to allow him to be challenged and overtaken by Luke Snipes. So I wonder whether or not All U82's anticipation for the lead car of Stoltz, after Stoltz made that mistake, made him slow down ever so slightly, and that's allowed Luke Snipes to come on through. So maybe a bit of an error in judgment there from All U82, as we see. I think it was Quiet Man there eating the wall in the background. And that is it, ladies and gents. Here come the final standings from Long Beach, and we can see there no tyres at all remaining on whoever's car we're currently in, but TheConsole takes the victory. He didn't manage to get the fastest lap, I don't believe. Yep, that goes to Jack de Menzies on a 123.96, so TheConsole missing out on the clean sweep. He doesn't get the bonus point for fastest lap, but he will get the race victory, 35 points secured, and the bonus point for pole position. T. Scott with his first Flux Motorsport podium, along with Stoltz, who also gets his first Flux Motorsport podium. J46 Dyson in 4th place, with Casey Redwood in 5th. Object in Mirror finishes in 6th place. Great outing from him, as already mentioned. Kovkarl does really well, actually, to recover, getting himself up into 7th place. Giacomo in 8th place in the end, with Old Smokey in 9th. Jack de Menzies, our race leader for quite a substantial period, finds himself in 10th after a huge lap of mistakes. Luke Snipes in 11th, with All U82 in 12th. Quiet Man ends up in 13th place. I believe his DNF will still see him register. He was just a couple of laps down, and then that makes up the final grid.